good afternoon Phuket, and good afternoon Thailand, and the rest of the world. Hope you all are great. I said Phuket because we have a really fantastic guest from Phuket who will be joining us. And just a tiny introduction to her. Her name is Able Wanamakok, and she's an international speaker and communications coach. I was introduced to her a couple of years ago, and I worked with her. Filmed her speech, commencement speech at British International School Phuket, and was a really wonderful one, by the way. But she's helped a lot of people, and she has helped a lot of people. But I will not do justice to what she actually does. So I'll just bring her in, and she can give a profile for herself as well. Okay. Hello,
Hello.
Abel. Hi.
How?
I just gave a really tiny introduction about your profile. I'm not sure if you heard it, but
Yes.
I would appreciate it if you could talk about what you do yourself before we start.
Okay. Sure, sure. Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you for
Where
coming.
is this live at anyways? Can I ask where is this live at?
This live is on YouTube, it's on Facebook, it's on Twitch,
Oh,
and
okay.
Twitter, and a second Facebook page. So these are
Wow.
all of my pages. I'll let you know how to actually go about it if you're interested. So maybe you can do the lives as well, like you do.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. I was looking forward to this chat today, and I will introduce myself a little bit. I try not
Please.
to drag it on, but I play a lot of roles in life, but if you're talking about only career, I'll just stick with only the career parts. I consider myself a communication, I won't call it expert. I have been an international presenter for about 16 years now. So I started as a news anchor, TV show host. I have also done a lot of stage MC work, so master of
Mm-hmm.
ceremony and voiceover. I have done some movies, and now I'm in communications coaching as well. So all of this is stuff that I love. It's all related under the umbrella of public speaking, mass communication, broadcast communications, and yeah, I just love what I do very much. Yeah, that's
Fantastic. Thank
me.
you for that. Thank you
Yeah.
for that. Yeah, I did not know, by the way, you have been a Hollywood star. I got excited because I was doing research on you. I always try to do research before I talk to guests, and I was
Oh,
like, oh my God. And then I actually watched the movie as well. And I know
really?
which part you're in. You are
Oh,
the
it's a very
reporter.
small part. Don't call me a star, man. I'll be so embarrassed.
No, it was a fantastic performance for what
Oh.
it's worth.
I don't think you
Um,
can even see me. You can just hear my voice, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was fun.
exactly. I can
Yeah.
see you just a bit, but
Yeah.
yeah, it totally works. I just adjusted your volume just a bit because it was a
Oh,
little on the low,
okay.
but also if you don't mind. Okay, yeah. So your sound and my sound is perfect all through the live streams. So yeah, so today we are supposed to for everybody else. I've written it on the title as well. We're gonna talk about work-life balance, and it's the subject of the conversation today. But Abel, I realized the more I actually dive into this, that this if you do enjoy this podcast, of course, if you decide you're going to come back, there's a plethora of different topics that come under this as well, what I've noticed, and
Hmm.
it's really exciting to bring about this conversation because I personally, me personally as well, like I suffer from work-life balance. It's completely not balanced at all, and that's just how it goes. And
Okay.
for a lot of people, it's the same issue. And
Okay.
I think this kind of conversation, if we have these kind of topics in, they would help quite a lot of people in the future. So I wanted to start this by asking you what your take is on work-life balance and you how you perceive it with your personal experience and your personal growth, I guess.
Work-life balance. Okay. Um, I think that's a really, really broad question.
Yes.
Is there any way you could, let's say you have a personal or specific question under this
Mm-hmm.
umbrella. What would that be? I think it would be better if we start from maybe a little bit more of a more
Specific,
yeah,
narrow.
yeah,
I get it. I get it. See, what I was thinking was that with work-life balance, if I talk about my personal experience, the one thing that comes to mind is that work never ends, and I think that's a
yeah,
narrow enough topic to be honest.
yeah,
And work never ends in the sense that even after you go home, and this is when I was working for another company, when
yeah,
I went home, I was still checking messages all the way till 12 o'clock, and then I was coming back to work at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning as well, and it
yeah,
just kept on going round and round. So,
yeah.
would you like to talk about this?
Sure, sure. Yeah, I think it's very important that we share this because I used to, and I
Mm-hmm.
say specifically used to also not have any balance. Because what you need to understand is, first of all, you need to know yourself. Uh,
Yes.
I can tell you that, for example, based on my cultural upbringing, the
Yeah.
society that I was in, so I'm Hong Kong,
Mm-hmm.
and my parents are obviously were Chinese.
Yeah.
Hardworking, working hard and hardworking is a
Yeah.
value, right?
Yeah.
Perseverance, no quit is always something that is within my family. And
Mm-hmm.
this has nothing to do with working smart, okay? This has absolutely
True.
nothing to
True.
do with working smart.
Yes. Yeah.
And based on the way that I was brought up from my parents and from what I learned growing up in the US as well,
Yeah.
is that I understood from my family, so within my close unit, my family, that I needed to work hard, whatever that
Yeah.
meant.
Yeah.
Okay, because when I don't work hard, I don't get praise, and I
True.
pretty much I get
True.
yelled at, So
Yeah.
so I learned that as a child, working hard. Second, I can't quit. There was no quitting in my family because my parents own a restaurant business,
Mm-hmm.
and just like you said, in any work, there is no end. And
Yes.
one thing that my mom always said is, she said, I can die, but I cannot be sick. That's what my mom always say.
Okay. Wow.
So she
That's
can die, but
intense.
she cannot be sick. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And what I learned in America, so outside of the family unit now, because I
Mm-hmm.
grew up in the US from age 10 to 25, and
Yes.
then I moved to Thailand after 25. US is a lot about developing your individualism,
Mm-hmm.
uh, finding work so that you can
Be
integrate into
independent.
society. Yeah.
Yeah.
And after you integrate into society so that you are inserting a talent, an aspect of yourself that benefits society,
Mm-hmm.
which will raise your status, your income, and then it can, potentially you can be a pillar of society, whatever that means.
Yeah.
So that's how I was raised, and because of these understanding from what I learned as a child,
Mm-hmm.
I learned that I receive attention when
Yeah.
I put effort, time, energy into something. And that is what is expected from other
Mm-hmm.
people.
Yeah.
Now, I have exited working for somebody else at 28. And
Yeah.
that took a lot of courage. It's similar to what you're doing now, right? You're working
Exactly. Yeah.
for yourself.
Yeah.
And when you realize I have to learn the hard way, which is a lot of
Yeah.
people, when you reach a point where your body shuts you down, when
Mm-hmm.
your body says to you, Abel, you have done too much, you do not exercise enough, you do not have enough rest, you do not know how to say no, you're not disciplined enough to put down your phone or to not look at the computer, you do
Yeah.
not know when you need to control your temper because you yell at your kids too much because
Yeah.
you don't know how to control yourself, then my body shut me down and I got sick. And when you're forced to be sick by your body, because your body is very, very intelligent,
Yeah.
right? I respected my body a lot more after I have kids. After I had my first kid, second kid, your body is sometimes even more intelligent than you are. It
Exactly. Yeah.
tells you, it shuts you down when you're sick, when you get depressed, when you when you have some kind of illness, whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is,
Yeah.
physical, emotional, mental, whatever, it's because you're not balanced. And if you allow yourself to get there without having the discipline to stop yourself, and I find that working 4 hours a day
Mm-hmm.
is perfect. 4 hours a
Okay.
day, like really, really working
Properly
four
working, no
hours.
breaks, no
Yeah.
distractions or anything.
Well, bathroom breaks, yeah, of
I
course.
mean, apart from
Water
that,
break. Yeah.
I'm talking about like if I'm working 4 hours hardcore, but I decide
Yeah.
to go downstairs and shoot some hoops or start
Yeah.
chatting with
Okay,
people on my
okay.
phone. That's it. Bathroom breaks are important for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Your
Yes,
body's
please,
gonna tell
bathroom
you
break.
that as well, by the way.
um, but I do have balance now.
Yeah.
So I can just tell you quickly. I wake up. I have at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep. That's what my
Okay.
body needs.
Yeah.
I wake up and I have breakfast. I drink plenty of water. I take my vitamins. I go to yoga. An hour and 45 minutes, an hour and a
Mm-hmm.
half of yoga. And then I'm
Yeah.
so fresh,
Yeah.
calm, tired, but fresh,
Yeah.
mentally clear. And
Okay.
then I sit down, I do my work, of
Yeah.
course, 11 till about 3 o'clock. I have my lunch, of course. So maybe
Yeah.
it's not exactly 4 hours, but sometimes I have
True.
until 3:30, sometimes I have until 6. Okay. It
Okay.
depends on my schedule with my kids. And
Yeah.
then after 6 o'clock, I do not touch my computer at all.
Okay.
Like I don't touch it at all, but I do check my Facebook messages for
Okay.
fun, for fun, on
Not
here.
for work at all.
Um,
Are
Usually
you being
people
completely?
don't.
Sorry.
I
Go ahead.
because No, go ahead. I have created my life where I have control over who I choose to talk to, who I
Mm-hmm.
choose to meet. My only boss is really my clients, and my clients are not exactly my boss because a lot of them are
Exactly.
seeking my help at this time because I'm already past my 40, right? So I'm already
Mm-hmm.
established and I don't need to work like a dog like I used to.
Okay.
So my life is very balanced because I created my life this way. I chose to quit. I chose to tell my husband this is what I can do, what I cannot do. I choose to order food instead of cook dinner every night because I
Mm-hmm.
suck at cooking. Like I know my limitations and
Yeah.
I'm compassionate towards what I can and cannot do.
Okay.
And the arguments with my husband before was a lot more because we were very egotistic, younger, more
Mm-hmm.
dependent with each other.
Okay.
Now is more independence, understanding, patience. We have our limitations, and he is the key person in my life where the potential of arguments is the highest because he's my
Okay.
husband. But
Yeah.
other than that, um, I have really good relationships with everyone. I do not have any
Okay.
problems with anybody because I'm very careful what I do with my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I have balance, and I feel that I can give advice to people. You have to be disciplined with your
That is
time,
true. Yeah.
yeah, and understand yourself pretty much, so you know
I
when to
mean,
stop, when to go.
that's the thing when you talk about like after 6 o'clock. That's something that I had to teach myself. Now I'm basically doing that. Like after 4 o'clock, I'm not going to work, but I am
Okay,
working a lot starting 8 o'clock in the morning. So I mean,
right.
obviously, since I've just started out my own thing, it will take time, right?
Oh yeah.
And that so it's important for me to make a list of things to do for
Mm-hmm.
every single day, and then a lot of
Yeah.
stuff I remember in a job, everything used to carry on to the next day. But now, since I'm master of my own time at the moment, I'm
Yeah.
managing to finish all of the
Yeah.
things to do lists whenever I can,
Yeah.
whenever possible, and that has helped me balance things a bit better. But
Mm-hmm.
initially, a few months ago, when I actually started, I started working all the way till 11, 12 o'clock at night. And I want to make these podcasts part of my work as well. And so I was podcasting at 10 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night. And
Wow.
yeah, just to experiment on timings and everything. But at the end of the day, it took it took a toll on my body, and then
Yep.
it realized, okay, you need to figure things out a bit better. And now
Yeah.
I'm waking up at 6 or 7, and I'm actually doing it. So thank you for that. But you said something really interesting about, how you were raised, and you mentioned cultural issues, right? So
Yes.
one of my notes talks about, like, is it a cultural thing? For example, when your boss or your client asks you to do something, and if you have been culturally raised to be like, okay, I'll do it, without even thinking if it's possible for you or if you have the knowledge. So is that something that ever happened to you, where culturally you're a hard worker and you basically take on as much work as humanly possible, or even more sometimes?
Um, so your question is the culture of how I was raised
Yeah.
affect my choices in life?
Um, More or less, yeah.
More or less. Okay. I can tell you this. I have conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
I have had conditions in my life that
Mm-hmm.
force me a certain way.
Okay.
So just to give you a quick example,
Yeah.
between the age of 14 and 18,
Mm-hmm.
I go to school. I mean, I
Okay.
wake up, I go to school,
Yeah.
and I do my homework at my parents' restaurant.
Yeah.
And if I don't have homework to do, I would be filling up soy sauces, rolling egg rolls,
Mm-hmm.
rolling silverware, doing everything. I mean, there was
Yeah.
no break. Yeah. And then I would go to bed at around, let's say, like 10:30 or 11, which to me
Okay.
now is very, very late because my kids
Yeah.
go to bed at 9 and then I have to get up at 7. So the
Yeah.
conditioning of my past, based on how my parents raised me, because I was still under them at that
Mm-hmm.
age, at that time, the conditioning created me, made me into a very, very hard worker.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very resilient. I persevere. I'm not allowed to quit. I was able to adjust a lot of my teenage hormones
Mm-hmm.
into positivity because I had to
Yeah.
adjust myself. My parents were too busy to help me in emotional support.
Yeah.
And that was one part of your life. Now, as you get older, because that conditioning also led into my whole 20s and
Yeah.
also into my 30s, because when I worked, when I perform, I receive
Mm-hmm.
attention. When I
Mm-hmm.
receive attention, I get praise. When I get praise, I feel loved. These are the links of how I think,
Yeah.
or my
Okay.
thinking pattern is. But let me say one thing to you. At my
Mm-hmm.
age now, I do what I do. I give what I give because
Mm-hmm.
I understand what I can give, what I'm willing to give, who I want to spend my time, who I want to give my time to, and who I don't want to give my time to.
Yeah.
And when you get older, you have already made so many mistakes because you were
Yeah.
talking about experimenting, right? Like you
Yeah.
want to experiment how far you can push yourself. That is your ego or your body trying to
Mm-hmm.
see how far you can go with
Yeah.
your abilities, limitations, energy,
Yeah.
um, and
Testing the limits more or less on
yeah,
everything. Yeah.
exactly. But I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
You cannot continue to choose. I mean, actually, if I continue to do what I did,
Mm-hmm.
which I was doing even
Yeah.
until my late 30s, I was sick many times. I was even at a point of depression and
Mm-hmm.
I lost who I was. I have arguments with my husband. I would yell at my children. We would
Okay.
talk about divorce endlessly
Okay.
because we have ego about how I should be, his expectations of me, my
Yeah.
expectations of him. How much money is enough money? Let me tell you. Let me ask you, how much money is enough? How much status is enough? How much fame is enough? It's
Yeah.
never ending.
It's
It's
never,
never
and it's technically it's never enough unless you really
exactly,
find yourself a bit. You can make enough money and you still want more because
exactly,
the ceiling keeps on rising, right?
exactly.
And so what do you do then?
You,
This not for me, by the way. This for like people who are watching. There's about 4 people watching, by the way, and one friend of
hello.
mine. She is a videographer and director in China, and
Oh, wow.
this is the first time that she's saying she just happened to catch this live. So that's nice. That's good to know. That's her comment up there. I'll leave it up there for now. Uh, So yeah, thank you, Nasheen, for watching, and everyone else who's watching. In the end, if somebody has any questions, and if Abel has time, please, feel free to ask, and we'll see what we can do. Um, so here's one thing from my part of the world, like from my childhood, and it still goes on, by the way, till this day. It's this expression in Urdu called it's the phrase is log kya kahenge, which means what will people say, or what will people think, or what will the neighbors say. And I know
Oh,
that
okay.
like watching some of your other videos, I've noticed that you were kind of raised in that culture as well, and the society around you was like that. And for me, um, when I finished my studies in the U.S. and I came back to Pakistan to live, and I was working there, I heard this phrase 20 times a day from friends,
Jeez.
from parents, from
Uh,
relatives, from bosses, from everybody, colleagues, everybody. And everybody was obsessed with this. Like, dress well because what will people think? Do this or don't do this because of what will people think. And it's something that drove me insane, to the point that I started having arguments with my own circle of friends
mm,
and family and relatives and everything. But this is something I think the older you get, the more you realize that you kind of deserve something better. And so I kind of decided to never think about this phrase anymore, or listen to somebody who
yeah,
actually says it.
yeah.
What's your take on this, based on your background as well?
Right. Thank you. That's a wonderful question and great point to share.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, I'm going to just compare two different mindsets. It's my childhood mindset and then my
Yeah.
adult mindset. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're a child, you do what other people tell you to do,
Yeah.
right? Because you don't make the choices, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
just follow, you copy, you mirror your parents.
Yeah.
And Chinese culture is a lot of comparisons. So
Same.
I
Same.
I as a girl, because I have only one younger brother, and my younger
Mm-hmm.
brother is 6 years younger than me. My younger
Okay.
brother was compared a lot to
Okay.
my cousin, who was 8 years younger than me. So, for example, they would be 4 and 2, and I
Mm-hmm.
would be already like 12.
Yeah.
No, 10 years old. I would be like 10, 10 and a half. So
Okay.
I get compared a lot less. But the people who compare me is my grandma and my
Mm-hmm.
mom. And they would compare me to my classmates, or they would compare me to my other female cousins, or they
Mm-hmm.
would compare me to the other staff at the restaurant.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I'm still
Wait.
struggling with today, yes, go ahead.
Sorry, you said other staff at the restaurant.
Yes,
So your family restaurant,
yes.
you're being compared to people, your own staff technically.
Yeah, people that I train, people who I work with, and
Okay,
my mom
that's
loves to
interesting.
compare. My
That's
mom loves to
interesting.
compare
Yeah.
me with them. And I can tell you the most recent one, even though I wasn't working there anymore, my mom
Yeah.
still compared me with the staff because she found one thing, one characteristic that she liked more about that staff than what
Yeah.
I could do. And
Okay.
my mom can't control her mind, she just blurt things out.
Okay.
I
Okay.
mean,
Fair.
to me, it's funny now, but
Yeah.
to me, when I was a kid, it's not funny.
Of course.
So when you're a kid, you choose, you act a certain way because of how adults around you teach you how to be.
Yes.
And for the longest time, and even till today, I have a post on LinkedIn about judgment, about stereotyping, about
Mm-hmm.
feeling that I was a victim of racism. So much. I had so much judgment in my life. People
Okay.
telling me too many things,
Yeah.
and what I learned is, once again, as you grow older
Mm-hmm.
and you understand yourself more, you understand, if you choose to not allow your own fixed thinking from your past to control
Mm-hmm.
you in the present, you will change the way you start to understand, and then you will make choices differently. So what I
Yeah.
purposely and consciously make the decision is, what other people say about me is
Mm-hmm.
definitely not my business. It's their insecurity, it's their problem, it's what they choose to focus their time on. Because
Okay.
why, I can tell you why I am very successful, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
not bragging, I am very successful.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband is not helping with me with any of my work. Okay. I
Okay.
created my business by myself.
That's
And I have
fantastic.
failed many times. I have
Mm-hmm.
failed many times, but it's because I choose to focus on my stuff. I do not spend time focusing on other people's business. I do not focus my time on gossiping about other people. I
Mm-hmm.
do not compare myself to other people because there's no other Able out there. Okay. So if
Yeah.
you choose to compare yourself to me, it's up to you. It's your time, it's your energy, right?
Yeah.
But my time and my energy is very, very, very precious. I have two kids to take care of. I have other businesses to run. I have my own career as a
Mm-hmm.
presenter and as a coach. I have my clients that I am helping. And when I'm finished with my clients, I drop them. I don't think about them. Like, I'm
Okay.
very clear and disciplined with my mental space and
Okay.
my time. And like I said, physically, I go do yoga. After 6 o'clock, I don't touch my computer. That's why I'm balanced. And that's why I'm
Okay.
happy. When you ask me, how are you doing? I said, I'm doing really good. And I'm not bullshitting. Like
Yeah.
right now, compared to just 2021, 2020, my life is great. And I'm sure there are more life lessons coming to teach me later on, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not thinking about what problems is going to happen in the future. I'm not in Ukraine. I'm not in Russia. I do not focus my time and energy on worrying about things that I have no control over, even though I pray, for example, for people. I
Mm-hmm.
pray for my
Yeah.
friends. I pray for myself, but I do not spend my time reading news, even though I used to be a news anchor. Do you understand what I'm trying to say now? I'm very
That is
disciplined.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
You read the news for about 10 years. Am I right?
It's about 8 or 9 years. 4 years,
8 or 9 years.
4.5 years of taped news, and then
Yeah.
about 4 years of live news.
Okay.
And because I have break in between, I had my baby, my second baby.
Okay.
So yeah.
That's interesting. This brings me to my next point. We're going through points really fast for some reason. The last podcast I did with a friend of mine lasted about 3.5 hours.
I try to get to the
But
point.
exactly. No, what I wanted to ask was, like, when I mentioned that I've started like waking up at 7 and then finishing work at 4 and then doing my own thing. It
Yeah.
seems, and with your thing as well, the word routine comes to mind, and that's what I wanted to ask you. For a lot of people, routines make a difference, but they can't do it on their own. They can't make their own routine and work with it. And I was wondering what your thoughts are on routines. That can be a tiny bit. But second, how you would suggest people could make routines that they could work around for themselves.
I have to say, my routine was created from the discipline of working at my parents' restaurants.
Okay.
Because as a child, I had very little choice in what
Mm-hmm.
I could do, and I also
Yeah.
didn't have a childhood. So this is another thing that that I'm so good at working,
Mm-hmm.
very excellent in producing results, is because of my parents' upbringing. The way that
Okay.
they brought me up.
Yeah.
Now, routine is something that is created from self-discipline.
Yeah.
Self-discipline needs to come from your drive. It needs
Yeah.
to come from your ability to understand what you deeply want inside,
Mm-hmm.
and how you want to manifest your dreams into the physical world.
Yeah.
And you can chase and distract yourself as much as you want,
Mm-hmm.
because there are times when I just sit and I just watch TV because I'm feeling sick
Yeah.
and I don't want to push myself. Yeah, I have compassion towards myself now, which
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have before because I didn't understand myself.
Yeah.
Okay. And self-discipline has to come from your ability to understand when is the best time that you can produce work. How
Yeah.
much work is it? How many hours should you work that allows you to have the strongest output? Um, I have specific schedule because I have to take my
Mm-hmm.
kids to school and I have to pick my kids up from school. And between that time, which could be 7 hours to 9 hours, between those 6 to 9 hours, I have
Yeah.
time to do yoga. I have time to shower. I have time to have breakfast, lunch, and these are all the breaks. Okay, I'm talking about all the breaks.
Yeah.
And then there are times for breaks. And in between, I make sure that because I don't write lists unless I have too many things to do because I remember everything that I need to do.
Okay.
And I don't try to force myself to do, I don't try to force myself too many things because, like I said, I understand myself enough. I work 4 hours,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes 6 hours. And when my eyes start to tell me that I'm tired,
Mm-hmm.
and I say this because I have grown to understand my body from yoga and from meditation, that
Yeah.
I know when my body is tired, and that
True.
after a certain time I am no longer producing creative or my best work,
Yeah.
and that's when I go watch TV
Fair enough.
and I stop thinking. And so my tips would be, first of all, when you're younger, when you're learning, when you're experimenting, you have to follow other people's rules,
Mm-hmm.
right? When you're not your own boss, and that is when you will have a higher chance of burning out.
Yeah.
But remember, after 6 o'clock, after 5 o'clock, put this down. Put it down because this is an addiction. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, or whatever is telling you, hey, check me out. Check and see how many likes I
Like
got.
constantly.
Because it's the
True.
ego. It's the ego trying to tell you, it's the ego trying to reinforce itself, saying that you are
Mm-hmm.
important, Able. Go see how many likes you have. Go see how many who, retweeted your thing. And let me tell you, your posts do not make money for you. Your posts do
Mm-hmm.
not help you rest. Your posts do not, the likes that people give you or the praise that
Yeah.
people give you, they're all empty praises.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you feel good for 1 second, maybe maximum a few days, depending on how
True.
you reinforce your own ego. But they're
Exactly.
just,
Yeah.
it's all just an illusion. What is important for you is your health, your time with yourself, or your time with your partner, or your time with your children, or your time to exercise. And then you allocate you have to know your priorities and
Yeah.
then you work, because do not work to live.
True.
If you work to live, you will be sick, you'll lose yourself, you'll be extremely unhappy, you'll get depressed, and you're just chasing things that's just never ends. It's the rat race.
Exactly. Yeah.
It never ends. Yeah. I don't know
Interesting.
if I answer your question or not. I think I
It doesn't
just.
matter at this point. No, it's always good to have more than asked actually, because at some point it's all about teaching people how to do better, or teaching yourself how to do better. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get a few lessons from myself as well. But I want to come down to, when you actually leave your client, or when you leave your business, or you leave your job behind.
Mm,
Um, you said that you have faced failure in the past.
yep.
I just
A
left
lot.
my job. Exactly, and I just left my job in the past, like in 4 months ago, and
Mhm.
I have a completely different side of it. But I wanted to ask you how you have dealt with failure in the past, when
In the
you had to
past,
leave something behind.
um, let's just talk about the process of leaving these
Sure,
failures.
sure.
The what I learned from leaving my ex work is I learned the courage to pursue my dreams instead of
Okay,
investing my time and my energy for someone else. I actually grew courage to pursue what I want to do. And
okay.
as courage grew, as courage grew, my ability to create and become a creator, which is
Mm-hmm.
all every human being is meant to be a creator,
Mm-hmm.
creating their own life, but not everybody feels that they are able to become the creator that they're meant to be.
Mm.
So through courage, you will learn that everything in life is just there to give you a lesson. That's all.
True.
And it is not always a reflection of who you are. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not, depending on how you see yourself. It depends on how hardworking you are. For me, I'm quite perfectionistic, and I push myself a lot. I want to achieve. I want to challenge my abilities. Some people
Okay.
are just plain lazy. Let's say if you are a lazy person,
Yeah.
then you need to ask yourself why you're lazy. Is it because you're afraid to succeed, or you just don't ever want to fail? I have people who
True.
are, I mean, I know people who are, for example, they graduate from Ivy League schools,
Mm-hmm.
schools that I could never go into because I'm not smart enough
Yeah.
in a academic way. I'm never academically smart.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not smart enough to go to these Ivy League schools, but these people are not successful. Some of these people are not successful because they're too afraid to fail, because they
Yeah.
have always succeeded in life, in getting certain grades, in achieving certain social status. There wasn't a lot of failure in their life, and when you don't fail, you are more afraid to fail. And when you are more afraid to fail, your skin gets very thin, and you start to think that, oh, I can't fail because, oh, other people might see me a certain way. And let me tell you this: nobody creates your dream for you. My husband cannot create my dreams for me. My parents cannot create my dreams for me. And nobody will know what is your deepest desire. Nobody will know what is your deepest dreams. And only you, within your ability, your skills, your management of your time, your understanding of your own energy and your abilities, will you consistently be able to create your dreams. And if you give up on yourself because you're telling yourself that you can't, or you just kind of like, oh, you're not achieving what you want to achieve within what, like 4 or 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
And for me as a coach, developing my business has been more than a year now, and I've
Mm-hmm. Okay.
only started to see success after more than a year, and I'm still continue to add things in my business. And
Okay.
it's a never ending consistency that you have to believe and put into your own business.
Yeah.
And without failure, how are you going to know what works and what doesn't work? And what is failure? Failure is your mind's perception of how you shouldn't be. And how do you know what you shouldn't be? You
If
will
you've
only know
never.
what you shouldn't be if you do it. Then you will
Exactly.
know. And that's all I have to say to whoever is watching this, or whoever will be watching this,
Yeah.
is you can never give up on yourself, because nobody will ever be able to create the dreams that you want to achieve for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody knows you more than you know yourself. If you love yourself enough, you will work for yourself, you will
True.
strive, you will achieve. And if you love yourself enough, you will know when to have a break, when to have kids, when to have a family, when to shut your mouth so that you don't talk and argue with your partner, when to ask questions. You will just learn and know through mistakes, through failure, whatever you want to call it. It's all just lessons in life. So, as much as I am really harsh on myself before,
Mm-hmm.
I am less harsh on myself now, because I'm still a new Able every day. I'm learning
True.
every new day. I'm a new person every day. I'm a new mother every day. I'm a new partner every day. So
What
give yourself a break if you're really hard on yourself. Yeah.
What would you say to people who sometimes have faced failure to the extent that they feel that they can't handle life anymore? Like somebody, for example, starts a business, it goes down bad, so badly, they lose so much money, for example, that they go like, I literally can't financially handle another break like this. Or it can be a relationship, it can be arguments with family, friends, losing people in general? Like, what would you say to people like that who literally have been like, oh my god, I can't deal with things anymore, literally, you know?
Thank you for another great question. I would
Sorry,
ask
I asked too
them.
many questions, but go ahead.
Oh no, no, it's great. No, it's great. That's why we're doing this, right? I mean, this is sharing knowledge, and
Exactly.
I'm only sharing my limited perspective to you as well. Um, what I would ask people in
Mm-hmm.
these situations is several questions. First, how honest are you with yourself? Are you doing what you're doing because your heart tells you to do it, or because
Mm-hmm.
society, your parents, friends, is it because of something outside of you that is forcing
Mm-hmm.
you to do this kind of business
Yeah.
or to be with this kind of person?
Yeah.
So be honest with first of all, are you really following your heart, or you doing something that other people are telling you to do, or how you feel you should behave or should be?
Yeah. Okay.
Second, second is, for example, if you're having relationship problems, first of all, you need to ask, what have I done to not contribute to the betterment of this relationship? Because
Mm.
at the end of the day, both people have to be mature enough to stay together. Um,
To
when I
handle the
say
problems
mature,
and
yeah,
etc. Yeah.
yeah, and I say maturity meaning you need to have a certain level of understanding,
Mm-hmm.
uh, willingness to bend, patience, compassion,
Yeah.
a level of love, even if there's no, even though it's not like a sexual relationship, it could be a different kind of relationship, but there has to be
Mm-hmm.
some kind of love. So there has to be a level of maturity
Yeah.
in it. And I would ask you to ask yourself, have you been blaming? Have you not been open? Have you not been patient enough? And because I always say this, because if you want to improve in your life, you need to work on yourself,
Yeah.
not blame other people. Because I have been doing that. I have been doing that long enough. Okay.
Exactly.
I'm also speaking from suffering, from deep experience, from blaming myself,
Mm-hmm.
and not stepping up to say, okay, Abel, you do not understand this person or your parents, let's say, you do
Yeah.
not understand your parents enough. You do not forgive your parents enough. You are not able to understand why they did what they did, because
Mm-hmm.
everybody is only able to do what they know how to do. So I'm going
Exactly.
to say that again. People are only able to give or to do or to think what they know how, with
Yeah.
their limited understanding, their limited perspective, and their limited knowledge or wisdom.
Why do you call that limited?
Limited because we all only have one perspective. We
Good
tend to
answer.
see, first of all, of course, we can be empathetic. We all have, first of all, our perspective, and we tend to have conditioning in the past that
Mm-hmm.
tends to allow us to react,
Mm-hmm.
because most of us work in an autopilot mode.
Yeah.
So we're not able to always make a conscious decision because it takes too much energy,
Mm.
too much awareness. And if you live in a society where you have to perform and where you have to deal with a lot of different people, you need that kind of reaction in this dimension on this planet so that you can function. The automation, the reactions is a way to ease the brain I mean
Yeah.
to not have to use your brain too much. That's why, for example, if you're a monk or nun, you tend to have less. You tend to, you shave your head so you don't have to worry about your hair. You don't
Yeah.
do makeup so you don't have to worry about how you look.
Yeah.
You simplify your life so that you can focus on yourself and working on yourself solely, so that you can be more conscious in your steps. You can be more aware when you're drinking tea. Um, so you have more time to work on yourself. But if you're working in a society with a lot of people, everybody tends to have the automation to react, to perform based on what society expects. And that's why I said, when you're reacting, you are limited, because you are limited to self, and you're focused again in your ego. You're fully in your ego. Just like me now, I am fully in my ego because I am thinking only from my perspective, and this is a
Yeah.
limited perspective because I'm not seeing from 100 other people's eyes, or 100 billion people's, 100 million people's eyes. I have a limited perspective. So I only attract certain people in my life who needs my perspective. And I'm only able to give to certain people at this moment in time.
It takes a big person to admit that your knowledge is limited, because like in my society, when I was a child, um, it was basically the elders know best and listen to the elders and nothing else,
Yeah.
except and you can't question it. If you question it, you're basically the asshole of the family. That's just how it is. But I realized as I grew older, something you said really resonates with me. Like, the amount of knowledge that they know. That's something similar to what I say to a lot of people now. That my parents, they're wonderful people, right? But if they messed up my childhood, or they messed up something else, they did the best with what they knew.
Yes.
And that's this the funny thing is, this is literally what I've said recently a few times, that this that whatever they know how to whatever they knew how to do with that knowledge they have, that's
Yes.
how they raised us. And
Yes.
if they messed up, that they did not really have this thing in their head, this animosity that, oh, we are going to mess this kid up. They literally, that was the
I don't
extent of their knowledge, right?
I don't think they do it on purpose. I mean, our parents
Exactly,
love
exactly,
us, right?
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that really resonates with me, because I've said
Yeah.
that to a lot of people, and I say that to myself as well. Uh, Thank God they don't really watch these podcasts. I don't know if they do. I
Same.
might have to delete this later. So like, going back to the work-life balance, like I said, there's a plethora of different topics that can come out of all of this. In terms of work, for people who are still working in jobs, so obviously there are millions, billions probably, who are working in jobs, and they still have an issue with their bosses, with their colleagues, and they can't leave, or they're too scared to leave. What would you say to them? What advice would you give to them? Because I know at least one person uh, who is going to watch this, if he's already watching, and he needs it the most, that I know. Um, what would you suggest to somebody like that? Like, quit this job, start your own thing, or quit this job, or get a better job, a more relaxed job or something.
This is a very difficult question for me to answer,
Mm-hmm.
especially when I have not had the opportunity to talk to people who have specific experiences,
Yeah.
because there is no answer that can fill everyone's
Of course. Yeah.
satisfaction.
Yeah.
What I can say is, first of all, where are you at in your life? Are you a good enough worker yet? Have you learned enough from other people so that you know how to be a
Mm-hmm.
good boss? Um, how is your skills, your ability? Because some people are just so driven, so creative
Mm-hmm.
that they become their own boss in their teens. But
Yeah.
a lot of people aren't able to do that because, let's say, they just do not have the creative ability. Maybe they
Mm-hmm.
don't have the discipline. Maybe they
Mm-hmm.
don't have enough drive. Maybe they do not know enough yet to have
Yeah.
their own business.
Yeah.
What I have to say is, I can only speak once again with my limited perspective and my limited
Mm-hmm.
experience, is that I have been working since I was 13 years old. Okay, for my parents and my uncles,
Yeah.
and then I have always worked, and I become so good in results, delivering results, that I am
Mm-hmm.
able to be my own business, to be a business owner at 28.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot say that other people are like me, or that you need to be like me. Like, just please don't. I'm not the status quo here. Okay, I'm being very humble about this.
Yeah.
You need to know yourself. First of all, ask yourself, okay, have I learned enough from this job? Because there are jobs out there, for example, that is purposely, let's say this: the universe brings certain people into your life so that you can
Mm-hmm.
learn certain lessons about yourself,
Yeah.
not about them, about yourself. And I learned, for example, my deepest lesson. One of my deepest lesson is when I was 21, is
Mm-hmm.
learning how to work in the outer world. So not just within my family, not just within other smaller businesses, but working in a corporate environment,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to understand when I should kiss my boss's ass, or should I never kiss my boss's ass. Um, because I have always been very true to myself. I
Mm-hmm.
do not try. I do not bend, because I know what I'm trying to say is, I know that I'm a very hard worker, and I give
Mm-hmm.
a lot. I give more than people ask of me. And that's why I know that I am a genuinely a good-hearted person, and I know this. I do not cheat, I do not lie. At
Mm-hmm.
least I never purposely lie, knowing that I'm lying. And I always work really hard, but there were certain times, for example, when I was 21, working at the Hyatt Regency Columbus,
Mm-hmm.
when my boss thought that I was the stupidest person because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how to kiss her butt. I didn't know how to work in a corporate environment because I was
Mm-hmm.
such a newbie.
Yeah.
And my boss, who I hated, I don't hate her anymore, of course. She was my best teacher, like in my head now. And I stayed in that job for a year and a half, even though that's not a short time. But at the time, it was
Excuse me.
such a difficult job. I was so fearful to go to work that my hands would shake.
Yeah.
My hands would shake because I was so scared to go to work, because I had to
Mm-hmm.
face my boss.
Yeah.
And my boss was an alcoholic, and she was also a lesbian. Okay. And these are
Okay.
true. I'm not trying to make her look bad, but she was
Okay.
an alcoholic and she was a lesbian. So
Mm-hmm.
I was harassed quite often.
Wow.
I was belittled a lot,
Mm-hmm.
made to feel that I just don't know anything.
Yeah.
And at that stage in my life, I learned so much about how to stand up for myself, how
Mm-hmm.
to work in a corporate environment, how to manage other staff, who actually, one staff wanted to kill me with a golf club. He brought a golf
Oh,
club.
fun.
He wanted to kill me. He brought in a golf club, and my boss, the lady that I hated, took the
Yes.
golf club away from him, because he said to her, "I'm going to fucking," like, I'm saying this. This is exactly what he said.
Go for
"I'm
it.
gonna fucking kill the shit out of this stupid bitch," because they thought that I was 21 and I was their manager,
Uh-huh.
and this guy was in his 30s and he was still working as a server, and he wanted to kill me with a golf club.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
serious. And this boss,
I
this
can
boss
believe
that
it. Trust me, I can believe this.
I mean, can you?
So
It's crazy. It's
was
crazy. Yeah.
was there anything that was said to you which would be a more specific thing, or I mean, it was just out in the open that they hate you because you're younger and more successful? I guess. I'm guessing.
Um, I don't even really remember why he
Uh huh.
wanted to kill me, because I was
Mm-hmm.
always too nice. I was
Okay.
too nice to the staff.
Mm.
And the staff do not like me because I was too nice, because they thought I was
Okay.
weak. Weakness
Yeah.
in America, I mean, in America,
Yeah.
being nice is a weakness.
Oh yeah.
How
I
unfortunate.
remember that.
How unfortunate.
Exactly. Yeah.
If I was a boss in a corporate world now in the US,
Yeah.
I would teach everyone what kindness really means, and the power of being kind and
Yeah.
compassion. But back then, being nice was seen as stupid, weak,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just plain dumb. You're just a dumbass bitch. That's how
Mm-hmm.
these guys treated me, and I was ridiculed. So what I'm saying is, at that stage in my life, working in that job is very hard, but I came through it, because
Sorry, can you say that again? But you, something
I,
happened.
I said I said that the reason I brought this up is because at that stage in my life, when I was
Yes.
21,
Mm-hmm.
I was very young. I was very new, very fresh, even though I had been working since I was 13.
Mm-hmm.
I was there to learn lessons on understanding other people, understanding people of different backgrounds, learning how to speak to them, how to be a
Yeah.
leader. I mean, there were so many things I learned from the fear that I received from that job.
Mm-hmm.
And that job was not happy. I was very, very unhappy at that job. I was being
Yeah.
played by everyone, from the boss to other managers to staff. I was being played by everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And when I said played, I was being like, people were telling stories about me to other people so that I would look bad and then I would get in
Yeah.
trouble, like that. And I learned so quickly in such a short time how
Yeah.
to be smarter, how to not manipulate other people, but to understand. And I'm saying this because there are certain times in your life where you need to grind. And there are
Mm-hmm.
certain times in your life where you receive rewards, like me now.
Yeah.
You cannot be like me. For example, what I'm receiving in my life, the balance
Mm-hmm.
that I have, the wisdom that I have, the knowledge that I have, and the calmness
Mm-hmm.
and peace that I have without going through certain things in
Yeah.
life. Maybe you don't always need to suffer to learn. But I unfortunately learned through suffering and through lots and
Through,
lots of
yeah,
experiences.
the hard way,
So,
basically.
yeah, so I really cannot answer that question in
Mm.
saying, should you or should you not? Because you have to ask yourself, how much, like again, you need to know your own compass. Just quitting different jobs just to see what it's like, it doesn't necessarily mean that other people are going to treat you better. It's at the end of the day
True.
how you treat, how you understand yourself, because people treat you based on how you treat yourself too.
Yeah.
So when I speak a certain way, people treat me with more respect. If I
Mm-hmm.
start speaking like I'm this stupid person, um, people will not treat me with the respect that I receive now, because they will know that I just don't know anything. Then they will
True.
want to play me. They will want to manipulate me. They will want to use me. They will want to take advantage of me because I allow it, because I don't know how.
Yeah.
And that is just learning through life experience. And nobody can escape life experiences. Nobody. And
I
that
think.
is something that
Sorry.
I
Finish.
feel is the truth. Yeah. No, I'm finished.
No, I was just saying that I think you did manage to answer the question because it talks about because you basically talked about how you went through the grind and everything, and there are a lot of people who use self help to actually go through the grind as well. So one friend of mine actually started learning enneagrams because he excuse me, he realized that the colleagues and the bosses and the management are not going to change. I'll just change how I perceive these issues that come up. And
Yes.
that was actually really, I worked with him, so I saw him over the years changing
Uh-huh.
and being more and more calm and relaxed and less tired, less exhausted. Uh, and
Right.
and so I mean he wasn't facing abuse, kind of, if I can call it abuse that what you went
Yeah.
through, but
Yeah.
but um but work abuse is a completely different animal as well. It's a monster, and he basically managed to diffuse the monstrosities by
Wow.
learning enneagrams, like learning more about his personality. And
Right.
that's something I would suggest anybody who's watching as well, and even you, Abel, like to look into enneagrams if possible, and figure things out
Interesting. Okay.
a little better.
Thank
Um,
you. Thank you.
but I promised you to finish up in an hour. I still have a couple of questions, but I say we can leave it for next time as well.
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
and but yeah, I just want to take the last moment of this podcast to give you the opportunity to talk about your socials or anything. Hey, if you get business from my podcast, I won't charge you commission, but I would be really
I would be
happy that you
happy to
get
give
some
you something.
business. But I think if you can talk about your socials and stuff, I'll list them down as well under all of the live streams whenever they're set up, because obviously they take time to display on different websites after
Yes.
the live has ended. You know that. So if you could talk about a bit, what you do, uh, socially, your business and stuff, and we can end it over there.
That's great. Thank you once again for the opportunity. And so I have two careers, okay, two different careers. One is
Mm-hmm.
in the entertainment, so broadcast communications as a presenter. So this is me as an entertainer and an artist, where I host events, where
Mm-hmm.
I am a TV presenter, where I am doing voiceover work, and for example, I would be, talking about somebody else's products on
Mm-hmm.
their videos or hosting their conferences. So that's me as a master of ceremony or an
Okay.
MC, and that's what I call a presenter. So I work internationally, not just in
Okay.
Phuket, not just in Thailand,
Mm-hmm.
because I perform in three languages. So I speak English, Thai, and Cantonese Chinese because I'm from Hong Kong. My second career, which I have started in 2017, is called Find Your Voice Asia.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and this is me as a presenter and communications coach. So it's less about me talking about other people's products. It's less about me sharing other people's things. And it's about helping you to communicate
Okay.
better with yourself, um, trying to be your mirror so
Mm-hmm.
that I can help to show you your own mindset, how you
Yeah.
speak to yourself. And also, if you want to speak better, be a better presenter, be a better speaker, grow more confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Have problems at interviews, for example, if you are going through a university interview or job interview and you need training, that's where I can help you with. And you can find all of my programs either on
Mm-hmm.
Facebook, Instagram, or on my website. And this
Mm-hmm.
is under Find Your Voice Asia or
Okay.
worldwideweb.findyourvoice.asia. And for me, as a presenter or as an entertainer, I have a page that's called MC Able. So that's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn. That's EMCEEABLE. So two different
Okay.
pages and totally two different lines of work, but I have two career lines going, and it's kind of
That's
linked into.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Interesting. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
My friend Nashin from China is probably really happy to hear that you know Cantonese as well. She's in China right now. She has just said, was great listening in. Thank you for sharing all these great thoughts and advice, Abel. Thank you so much,
Thank
Nashin,
you.
for your comments.
Yes.
And yeah, so the plan is to, for people watching, the plan is to maybe have a series of this based on, you know, future schedules and content, and if you want us talking about more stuff, if you guys have any questions after the fact, feel free to leave them. I'll be sure to forward them to Abel. Um, and that's about it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here, Abel. And hopefully we can continue something. But I'm saying this publicly, but you don't have to promise anything. Don't worry about it.
No, no
Um,
worries. I mean,
um,
my background is in broadcast communications, so for
yeah.
me to do this is very natural. It's very easy. I don't have to do anything to prepare for
Mm-hmm.
any kinds of
Fantastic.
speeches or podcasts, unless it's a webinar or a workshop or I'm training or coaching. So as long as I am helping other people
Mm-hmm.
through my knowledge and my experience, I'm more than happy to. And of
Yeah.
course, within the limits of my energy and my time. And I'm more than happy to continue to do this with you and to share and to grow this. And any questions that people have, please connect with me, connect with Zoe, follow me on MC Able and Find Your Voice Asia. And thank you so much for watching. And thank you
Yeah.
to Zen and Zeddy's Films for
Yeah,
being
they're
here.
they're a fantastic company run by my friend Sheen in China, and
Sheen, yeah.
so she visited Thailand as well, which she really loved. She's trying to get back as well to visit us. But
Oh, okay.
anyways, thank you so much. I'll send your socials out. I think I should say Swadikap to everybody as well because I'm in
Thank
Thailand after
you.
all. And
Khop
Kapun Kap. And we will see all of you guys next time. Thank you, Abel, for your time. Take care of
Thank you,
yourself.
Zoe. See
Bye
you.
bye.
Thanks for having me.
Bye bye.